Most people get a concept in their minds, like a fairy or something, and or sometimes a feeling or a yes, whatever. And then you ask the creative part to generate lots of ideas, at least 3 of them, but lots of them, ideas of ways to satisfy this intention in addition to the old way. Now, you won't often know what those are. The creative part says, I'm generating them, that's all you need to know. Consciously, you do not need to know this. Then you ask the part that was responsible for the old behavior if it would choose, out of all those that the creative part is generating, if it will choose at least 3 to satisfy that intention, and that those 3 are better behaviors than the old one. Okay? And for that part to just let you know when it's chosen 3. It might let you know what they are. It might not. It might just say, I picked 3. You can say, well, are you willing to let me know in conscious awareness what those 3 are? Often you get, nah. This is the magic surprise part. But the condition is that they are better for you than the old behavior. All right? Why 3? At least. Right. Right. We need those options. Then you ask the old behavior part, are you willing to generate these alternative behaviors and try them out for me? Yes or no? If no, you go back and say, well, what would allow you to do that? It's that recycling. Then you do your ecology check. Does any part of me object to this part trying these new ways? And if yes, you go back and establish communication with the part that's objecting and go through this process again. Basically, you've been doing that. This is a simple, unconscious way to do it. This is often done in hypnosis. We're not going to do it in hypnosis today. You don't need to, but if you know hypnosis, wonderful way to do this is put a person in a light trance, get a yes or no signal by the lift of a finger or the nod of a head or shake of a head, and they can stay in a trance while doing this. They might not know what the new behaviors are, but they'll discover them as they move out into the world. Okay? So, who would like to come play with me now? With a behavior they would like to replace. I know, after lunch. Yeah, dieting right now is probably not. So you're all perfect now. You don't have anything you want to change. Okay. By that response, I'm guessing that that's not true. Oliver. Yay! Thank you. Have a seat. So, Oliver, can you tell us a little bit about this behavior that you would like to stop?
It's procrastination.
Procrastination? Let's say yes, and let's pick an area in which specifically you're procrastinating so that we have a context that's clear.
In some organizing and filing type of stuff.
So you procrastinate when it's time to organize and file stuff.
Yeah.
For your business?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Oh, and some personal stuff that I'd like to do with our finances and financial planning.
Okay, so you procrastinate in that area.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you would like to do something else besides procrastinate?
Sure, yeah. I'd like to take action.
Take action. Okay, all right. So, take a moment and a nice deep breath and go inside for a moment. And ask the part of you that is involved with a procrastination that causes you to procrastinate, if it would be willing to communicate with you now. Great, thank it. Thank it. Ask it in this communication, what is it that it's trying to do for you in having you procrastinate?
Saving me from stress and doing that stuff.
Oh, so it doesn't want you to be stressed?
Yeah.
Is that a surprise to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you actually do those things, do you get stressed? Do you find that it stresses you in some way?
Yeah, I start to make the job bigger than it probably is.
Oh. Oh, okay. Well, thank this part.
Okay.
I'm going to go up one more level here just to check. So if this part can reduce the stress and make sure you don't make it into a huge job, what does it want for you by avoiding that?
I'm having, I always think it's because there's other things I'd rather do. I enjoy time with my family or do something more fun.
Okay. So when you can open your eyes a minute because I want to get a little more information here.
Yeah.
When you get into organizing, you actually start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that you start to get stressed because it turns into a bigger project than you thought and takes time away then from your family? You get
Yeah, and maybe other parts of work that I think I should be doing.
it leads into other things.
Yes, other things, the time factor.
Oh, okay. And what in doing that? Now I'm sort of going sideways. I'm gathering a little more information here because I want to make sure that when we do our conditional close, we've taken care of the things that this is trying to take care of. And when you get involved in other aspects then of the business, what happens? You said, does it take time away from your family? You get sucked into things,
Yeah.
or?
I'm thinking specifically of,
Good.
and I've kind of worked on this a little bit since I've been here, my home office and organizing that. I have piles of files and things that as I work, instead of taking the time to, and then now that I haven't done this, I don't have the right places to put them, so I just throw them to the side and think I'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I sit down there to work, I have to clear a space, and my other office is fine, but I don't spend much time there. But the office that I'd like to spend more time in, it needs more organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm thinking of doing that, it just seems like an awful big task. Like it take days, and so then I don't get started.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So it doesn't want you to get stressed by having to deal with that. Okay. All right. I'm going real simple here. I'm just going to do real simple because his unconscious mind will be able to handle this and satisfy things. So we're going to go inside and thank this part for this information. What it wants for you is not to get overwhelmed and stressed.
Okay.
All right? Thank it. Ask it if we can come up with all kinds of ways for it to go ahead and start getting organized there. And we are sure that you're not stressed and overwhelmed by it. Will it be willing to let you begin?
Big hell yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
as long as we satisfy those conditions, it will. Great, thank it. And let it know that we're going to ask your wonderful creative part to help here. Right? And then ask if the creative part of you would be willing to communicate with us now. And imagine you welcoming it and noticing. Okay, great. Do you have a concept, an image, or sound, or feeling of that creative part?
Yeah, kind of like ocean blue.
Ooh. Ooh. Thank it and welcome it. Oh, yeah. Ask this part, the creative part, if it would like to start generating just dozens of ideas on how you could get organized, go in and start right away, and yet not get overwhelmed and stressed. And these can be as creative and wild as it wants, because your other part is going to set some criteria and pick. But its job is just to create all the many wonderful ways you could do this. Is it just willing to do that? Great. It's doing it. How do you know it's doing it?
I can see the images of different things and get ideas. It's giving me ideas of what I can do.
Okay, great. So it's letting you know consciously what some of them might be. Thank it. Yeah, some. How do you know there's some it's not letting you know?
I just know there is.
Yeah, yeah. And that's interesting. That often happens. Okay, thank it. Now, ask the other part, the part that used to be in charge of procrastination, if it would be willing to choose at least 3 ways out of the ones the creative part is generating to try in the next month or so. Okay, thank it. Thank it. So ask the part that used to be in charge of procrastination to go ahead and pick 3 ways at least to try working with the creative part, and ask it if it's willing to do that, say in the next week, to pick those 3. Okay, great. And is it willing to try them out after you get home? Great, thank it. Thank it. Thank the creative part and this other part that used to be in charge of procrastination and now is in charge of ways to have you get organized that are less stressful and overwhelming. Great, thank it very much. And then ask, does any part of you object to this new arrangement? Great. Thank all your parts. And imagine in the future having the creative part and this other part. Do you want to call the new part, or the part, something new? Do you want to call the part something new now instead of being in charge of procrastination? Do you want to give it a new title?
Sure. How about organizational manager? Okay,
organizational manager, great. And it knows that it will do it in such a way that it's stressless and done in chunks that don't overwhelm. Great, thank it. Thank all your parts. And I'm really looking forward to seeing and hearing someday about how that worked for you. How many ways it worked for you.
Yep, me too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you go, is there anything you want to ask or share with what you were experiencing?
Any questions?
Did it give you any conscious answers, or was it sort of, you just know there are answers in there, but it didn't give you?
It's some, yeah. Some chunking and some options of taking a certain amount of time and then breaking down little pieces and making it fun. And I just really got more of a sense also of it not being such a big deal and being able to break it down. And I also got an idea of, like, I would plan a project, planning the organization or the reorganization. So actually sitting down and making the plan for that reorganization and then planning that like I would plan a project or a business venture.
Yeah. And it could be that you do it even in a way you hadn't imagined yet, because they're still working. Yeah, yeah. You'll get ideas.
And I could hear the ocean sound, and there's this blue kind of light here, and I could feel it kind